Hello everyone, this is John with the Wall Street Voice, and this is Options Made Simple, the basics. Today we'll be talking about what an option contract actually is and give you some examples of buying calls and puts. So what is an options contract? Essentially, all an options contract is an agreement to buy or sell 100 shares of stock at a predetermined price on the set date. Every options contract has three things in common: a strike price, an expiration date, and a premium. The strike price is the price that you're agreeing to buy or sell 100 shares of stock at. The expiration date is the date that this transaction will take place, and the premium is the price that you will pay for that options contract. You always multiply the price of an options contract by a multiplier of 100. So a $3 contract will cost you $300. This is done to keep the pricing of options uniform and simple. You often hear options contracts referred to as calls and puts. Buying a call is a bullish trade where you need the price of the underlying stock to go up, and buying a put is a bearish trade where you need the price of the underlying stock to go down. So let's dive a bit deeper into buying calls. When you buy a call, this gives you the right to buy 100 shares of stock at the strike price. But what does that actually mean, and how do you profit from it? Well, when you buy a call, if the trade goes good for you, at the end of the trade, you get to buy 100 shares of stock at a lower price than what they're trading for. We'll use Microsoft as an example for buying a call option. Today, Microsoft is trading for $236 per share, and we'll say that you thought in 60 days' time, Microsoft would be higher than $250. So you can go buy one Microsoft call option expiring in 60 days with a strike price of $250. These contracts are currently trading at $3.65, so you would pay $365 for this call option. We'll assume that your assumption was correct, and at the contract's expiration, Microsoft is trading for $270 per share. Since your contract had a strike price of $250, that means that you now get to purchase 100 shares of Microsoft at $250 per share, and if you wanted to, you could sell them for instant profit for $270 per share. Figuring out your total profit from a call contract is pretty simple. You would take the current share price, subtract that from the strike price, multiply that times 100, then subtract the premium. So if Microsoft was trading for $270 per share, you would subtract that from the $250 strike price, which would give you $20, multiply that times 100, which would give you $2,000, subtract the premium, which is $365, and your total profit would be $1,635. There's no limit to how much money you can make with a call contract. This is because there's no limit to how high the stock's share price can go. If Microsoft were to have gone up to $1 million per share, then someone would have to buy you 100 shares for $1 million per share and sell it to you at your strike price of $250 per share. Now let's talk about the opposite scenario and assume that the share price of Microsoft went down instead of up. If at the contract's expiration date, Microsoft is trading for $220 per share, then your contract would expire worthless. The reason why we say it expires worthless is because it doesn't make sense to exercise your right to buy 100 shares at $250 per share, because you can just buy 100 shares of Microsoft on the open market for $220 per share. The most you can lose when buying an option contract is the premium that you paid. In the case of your Microsoft contract, you paid $365, so if it were to expire worthless, the most you would lose on that trade would be $365. So in that sense, option contracts have defined risk, which is a benefit to you as a trader. There are very few scenarios in the market where we know exactly how much we can lose while still giving ourselves unlimited profit potential. Alright, now let's talk about puts. Puts are a bearish trade where you need the price of the underlying stock to go down. When you buy a put, this gives you the right to sell 100 shares at your contract strike price. But what does that mean, and how do you profit from it? So what this allows you to do is to sell shares for a price that is higher than what they're currently trading at. Alright, we'll use Uber for our example of buying a put. Today, Uber is trading for $54 per share. Let's say that you have a theory that within 30 days, Uber will be trading for less than $50 per share. So you can go and you can buy a put contract with a strike price of $50 and an expiration date of 30 days. Right now, these contracts are trading for a premium of $1. Alright, let's assume that your theory was correct, and within 30 days, the share price of Uber dropped to $45 per share. So what this means is that you can buy 100 shares of Uber on the open market for $45 per share and sell them to the person who sold you your put contract at the strike price of $50 per share. To figure out your total profit from a put, you would subtract the current share price from the strike price, multiply that times 100, and then subtract the premium that you paid for the contract. So if Uber was trading for $45 per share, you would subtract that from the strike price of $50 per share, multiply that times 100, which would give you $500. The $500 is what you would have made from buying at $45 per share and selling at $50 per share. Then you subtract your premium of $100 to give you your total profit of $400. Unlike call options, put options have limited profit potential. The reason why they have limited profit potential is because the lowest the share price can go is $0 per share. So if you're holding on to an Uber put option and Uber went down to $0 per share, that means you would get to buy 100 shares of Uber for $0 per share and sell them to the person who sold you your put contract at a price of $50 per share, which was your strike price. You would make $5,000 from this transaction, and then you would subtract the $100 that you paid in premium. So your total profit would be $4,900. Alright, now let's say instead of going down, the share price of Uber went up to $60 per share at your contract's expiration date. If this were to happen, then your contract would expire worthless. The reason why it expires worthless is because it doesn't make sense to buy 100 shares on the market for $60 per share and sell them to someone at your contract strike price of $50 per share. Just like call options, put options also have defined risk. The most money that you can lose when buying a put option would be the premium that you paid for the contract. So with your Uber put contract, the most that you stand to lose would be $100. Alright, now let's talk about some things to keep in mind when buying stock options. When you buy stock options, you don't need to have the capital available to outright purchase 100 shares of stock. You only need to be able to pay the premium for the stock option. When you buy a stock option, your contract price will fluctuate throughout the week and you can sell your stock options at any time. If you have a call contract and the price of the underlying stock goes up, then you can likely sell that call contract for a profit well before its expiration date. There are many other variables that will affect the price and the value of your stock options. We will be going over these variables in more details in our video series, Make an Option Simple.